such an important thing to see that progression from, you know, one aspect of the customer journey into another aspect of the customer journey. And I think, you know, I'm always happy to see that kind of movement.
Oh, absolutely. I think, I mean, that's where people can really realize their potential and their skills. And let me be honest, yes, I wanted to go into leadership role and I went for it, but it's not for everybody. And it is very, very, very different being an individual contributor or leader.
Yeah.
Yes. And it's people like, that's not the only role. And sometimes it can be really bad for somebody to think that's the only way up.
Yeah.
Oh no. And
I've had
really
that conversation so many times
yeah.
where I'm like, everything you love about your job, that when we talk about like the passion you bring into, like, you know, I love talking to clients, all this stuff. I'm like, yeah, you won't get to do any of that when you're a leader.
Absolutely. You'll be bored. You'll be bored
Yeah,
with so many other things.
The only time you get to talk to customers when they're escalating.
Yes, like, do you really want that?
So true. Cool. I think it's time to jump into the challenges. So let's jump into challenge number one. So our challenge number one today is career ownership. So, you know, obviously we talked about, you know, all the different ways that CSMs, you know, or the customer success journey can go. And, you know, one of the more important things, and, you know, I think you highlighted very much in your last piece is, you know, it's important for CSMs to, you know, successfully take control of their career trajectories. And it's obviously, you know, about trying to identify the opportunities and being transparent with the communication with their managers so that the managers know what to look out for you, and also proactively starting to learn. But it sounds easy and straightforward, but, you know, obviously, as we all know, and having seen a lot of, you know, CSMs in these, you know, situations, it can be a bit of a challenge. So, Marija, the question I have for you is, you know, what are some of the most effective strategies for CSMs to actually take ownership of their career paths?
Well, speaking about the ownership, for me, two things come to mind immediately. Just being on a driver's seat of your own career, and in a way, just being the boss of your career. And I know now that sounds cheesy, but I need to say, I didn't know that when I started my career. I even left one company because I never expressed, or I never voiced where did I want to go next. And the company didn't have, you know, that much growth that there would be opportunities, but I just left for a better role without, you know, giving them the opportunity to give me something different when I realized that I wanted to grow. So it took me time to learn how to be the boss of your career, because you're never thought about it. And I genuinely believe when I started, oh, my manager should tell me, you know, what is next for me, what am I good at, what I should do next, what is potential promotion path. So my advice is really, firstly, the mindset. Because of, you know, career performances in the organization, very often people think that, yes, somebody else should say when is the time to, you know, go to a new role, when is the time to get promoted. But I think that's really not the case, because job is a job. When you're on a job, let's say you're on a CSM job, you're doing the job, that's fine. But career is a personal thing, and no one else can actually tell you what is your career, because that depends on individuals' values and your own strengths and the ways you want to work, you know, the location you want to work. So there are so many parts of career that person can only decide for themselves. So that's what I mean by, you know, being a boss of your career, regardless of what is your current job and what are the possibilities in that job. Think about career much wider, of what is it that you want to do and why and how. As I already mentioned in my example, like, not voicing your aspirations is wrong. So, you know, there's no harm in doing it. And I have seen as a leader, now you've probably seen that as well with your teams. It is so much easier when people tell you what they want to do, because then you
50% of the job, I guess.
Exactly. Right? You see a project and you just say, okay, you're going there, you take that project, that's something in line with what you want to do next. Or you can just really match them with so many different opportunities when you know where they want to go. If they never say, how on earth can you tell? Are you more interested in, I don't know, enabling customers or doing renewals or doing ops? Like, you can't. So having those conversations are really important. And then what I would say, challenges are also the business acumens or skills, but that can be learned. If somebody wants to go for a role that requires much more upskilling, like, it's just the mindset. Yes, ask for it, ask for being exposed to, you know, that part of the role through different projects, and you can pick up the skills. And there are always trainings to pick up the skill, which is much easier than pick up the mindset. That's kind of a behavior. So yeah, obviously there are so many challenges with the market as well, but I think as long as you think of your career as that is something your personal, you figure out what are at least your strengths and interests, and start voicing it out there, start advocating for that, what you want with your manager, their manager, there will be a way to move you to different parts. And then managers are there to help you support in that journey. They're not there to, you know, do everything for you. You can ask for advice of what do they think you should be doing in terms of training, etc. But yes, career is a very personal thing.
It's actually, and I've seen this happen a few times in my career, where you discuss this, you have this conversation with an individual contributor, and they voice what they want to do, and then you give them the opportunity, and they just don't, go for it.
Yes.
And that's just like it blows my mind. Like, we have this conversation, I understood what you want, I saw an opportunity for you, and you just have to work, hard for a little bit to get there. But it's almost like, no, like, yeah, we talked about it, and then I figured, well, to do my job, and you just give it to me. It's like that's not how it works. Like, you have to really, like, you have to give yourself like that vision, and you have to really drive yourself towards it. Like, I can't pick you up and put you there. You have to get in the car and drive yourself.
That's so true. And also, you reminded me, it's not always about what you want to do next. It's really on your current role. You should hopefully want to be better now than you were a year ago, and pick up new skills for your own role, or ask for maybe different type of customers with your own role, even without any new title. Like, you can develop within your role so much as well without even thinking beyond it. And that's something that managers will always welcome as well, because no one wants to work with people who are only doing the same things in the same way.
Yeah. Or even look for, like, opportunities for improving processes, and like trying to look at all of the different ways you can bring value to the table, as opposed to just sort of like your 9-to-5 job. And I like, and I don't like saying it in a way where like everyone feels like they need to do 60 hours a week to feel like they're seen and heard. But it's looking at what your job is, where you want to go, and then opening, like, or like making that circle bigger, or at least intersect with what you're wanting to do, and then you start to find yourself moving into that role. I've
seen it even in my previous role, and it's so interesting. Like, you always have people who come with ideas and solutions and saying, okay, this is what I noticed, this may not work in the process, here is what I think we can do next. Few months after, those people are promoted because they've been already doing some different role. Then you do have people who are just so fine with their 9-to-5, not even up to 5:15. I mean, doesn't matter. I'm joking. It's not about the time, but people who would never do anything beyond, and that's okay. You don't have to have always A players.
People are happy with that, yeah.
Yeah, if they are happy, but don't have expectations.
Yeah, that's so true.
I always say, bring me solutions, not problems.
Yeah, we all know the problems. Like, cool. Now what next?
That's
I
so
always
true.
say, like, I've said this to so many teams. I'm like, like, if you see a problem and you come and ask me, like, tell me about the problem, I'll turn it back on you and say, what do you think we should do? Because you do this day to day. I don't. So I'm not the one to tell you how to solve this problem. You would know better. So why don't you tell me what the solution should be?
I like that spin on coaching. Yes, bring it on.
And it's also like what you said, Marija, is that I mean, don't feel pressure. Sometimes I see this in two ways. One is that you are in your comfort zone and you're scared to get out of it, or you're just happy with what you're doing, and maybe today is not the day that you decide to move. Maybe it will be in 2-3 years. But if you're actually doing what you're doing and you're liking it, you will do it well. And maybe in the future you can change. So I see it in those two ways. Don't feel pressure that after a year or after 2 years you have to move. I mean, it's a good career growth. You're gonna learn, you're gonna have challenges, this and there, but maybe it's not for you right now.
That was today's CSM Quick Lesson. For the full conversation and more practical tips, just go and check out today's episode description, where you will have the link to the full conversation. Remember to hit follow. Also follow us in their social media And you can also go and check out our new website. Remember, keep learning, keep growing, and let's keep improving the world of customer success. Until next time.